Good morning,
Morning.
Beth. Good morning, Ray. How are you both this morning?
Good, good. Hey, Heather. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Wonderful.
Good, good.
So Ray is up in the mountains of
So
beautiful
jealous.
Colorado, and what is the temperature going to be there today?
Well, let's see. This morning it was 43 degrees when I went to go buy donuts
Wow.
for the kiddos. But
43.
yeah, and it's going to be up to a balmy 68 degrees today. So it's not going to
Oh,
be not.
perfect.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
nice weather for the mountains.
yeah. Heather and I are looking at a heat index today of, I believe, like 105 to 108.
Yeah.
So Ray during the winter, he's like, "Oh, all the snow," and then we're like, "Oh yeah, it's like 70 degrees. It's like 80."
Yeah,
Now the other shoe has dropped. So now
that's
we're
right.
being
That's right.
Oh,
in,
we're jelly.
yeah, now we're living on the surface of the sun for the next like 6 to 8 weeks. So
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe even longer, probably.
exactly. So we
uh,
um, are talking about uh, AI today, and we're taking a
hmm
bit of a different tact on AI. Obviously, that's a topic that's dominating every aspect of business and human resources, and literally every place you turn, there's a conversation about, hey, how AI is impacting us. So, one of the interesting things that we talked about as a team was that the writers' strike in Los Angeles, they have a number of things that they're striking about, but one of them, which is pretty interesting, is the future of AI and how is it going? How is it? Oh my god, how is it? That sounded really terrible and not good. Um, it, they're talking about in terms of the future of AI and how is that going to impact the writers? How are writers going to be protected from just an AI potentially writing scripts going forward, and then how is potentially regenerative or generative HI gonna take over? Making a composite of Bruce Willis or a composite of Cary Grant or someone, and having them be the actor, which it can do. And you saw, I think, maybe even this week that the Beatles and
hmm
just are going to release a brand new song and album based upon generative AI working on John Lennon's voice. So it's going really quickly, very fast. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, is AI going to be the catalyst for more unionization in businesses, especially as we look at AI being the second or third industrial revolution, is like a lot of people are saying, first obviously being, factory work, and second somewhat being the internet, and third being AI. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that and see, what we thought and get your guys' thoughts on it and put that out there.
Yeah, sounds like it's a great topic. It's very relevant to what's happening today. It's interesting. A lot of the spam email that I get now is talking about click on this for some AI you know uh, AI help and AI work and just just all kinds of different and we Jason and I kind of as we as a small business are just inundated with these kinds of requests on a daily basis, and
hmm
it's becoming more and more prevalent as a small business just companies trying to get your attention with their AI products.
Well, the funny thing is, we're getting all these emails and say, "Hey, look at our product that's AI," and it's not really AI.
No, it's
It's
not. No,
it's a
no.
sales
Yeah.
pitch, and
Yeah,
it's kind of funny because then we're talking to companies, that are real AI companies, and you see what it's doing, and
yeah,
you're laughing at what the reality versus the
yeah,
spin is.
yeah,
So, do you
yeah.
want to put up our slide, Heather?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. And I think things are just moving so fast that let me take that banner down. Things are just moving so fast. I feel like that ever since we started talking about this, it's just continuing to move so fast. And I think as employers, we need to make sure we stay in front of this.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
So,
No,
so that's
so
one
true, so
of the
true.
advantages of unionizing against AI. Um, that, and we can read through, just first talking about the advantages, protection um, for the employees, and having a say in decisions. I don't know what your take is on those,
Well,
Jason.
I think what's probably going to happen is that some company is going to surprise us all, and they're going to put virtually 80 or 90% of their jobs all to AI. And we're going to go, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Mhm.
And then what's going to happen is either the government is going to have to run in and provide some protections, I think, or people are going to say, wait a minute, like we can't live in a country where every job is going to AI. And then I think you may see things start to happen where people look to have some job protections against, AI potentially taking away all of their jobs. And so I think that companies have to be really careful going forward with just how much they're going to have, AI take on. And I've said this before. I think the company that does this successfully will say, hey, we'll have, maybe an 80-20 rule. Like 80% of our
Mhm.
jobs are going to be done by, humans. And it's so funny to say that
Yeah,
80% of the jobs are going to be done by humans or real people, and 20% is going to be done by AI, or maybe it's broken up by percentage of your job can be done by AI.
yeah,
But I think the company that does that
Mhm.
is going to be successful because they're going to show that they're looking out for the humans. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I don't know why
exactly.
I'm laughing, but it just
I
seems so
know it sounds
crazy
weird
that we're
though.
actually in this point to have this conversation. Like the
Yeah,
humans versus the robots is finally
yeah.
here.
No, it's true, and I think the other thing too is that you know, organizations that aren't thinking about this are really going to fall behind.
Mhm.
And some of the things that that we would recommend, if you're in an organization where AI can be used, you need to start thinking about some strategic goals and objectives around this, and by that I mean make sure that you've got not only goals that say we're going to be developing AI strategies and AI products or tools, uh, but that we want to make sure that the teams that are in place are kind of know and understand AI and machine learning, and that knowledge starts to get more expanded into the organization, because at the end of the day, you want to boost adoption because this is really going to help productivity. But at the same time, I think you also have to have rules around ethics and compliance, because
Mhm.
you can't put things out there and say that they're developed by the company when it was developed by an AI algorithm. So you got to put
Right.
those kind of barriers. I like to call it when you play. You know, the bumper guards. When you bowl, you got to put those right bumper guards in place.
Well, it's
Technology.
interesting. A couple of things that we talked about when we did our AI presentation in um,
Long
May, it
Beach.
was May in Long Beach. A couple of things that we talked about that we said, hey, get ready. They've already happened. And it's interesting that they happened so quickly. So the first is we talked about the fact that if you're going to implement AI, you need to have, like you just said, the bumpers or the guardrails around, how do you use it? How's it being? What about the careful? How do you be careful with the IP that you upload? All of those things we talked about, and their companies are going to be putting out guidelines and processes around that. Well, I had a number of people call me and go, "Oh my gosh, I've just been asked to put a process around this. Oh my gosh, here's actually the guidelines that legal just sent out to us." So a bunch of people sent me that just started to pop. And
Mhm.
so we talked about that. And then the other thing that we talked about was how consulting firms are going to have to up their game in terms of the amount of information and the type of information that they provide to clients. That's already started. If you look at some of those articles where Accenture is spending $3 billion on AI internally, it talks specifically about how consulting firms are going to have to up a level the kind of work that they're offering. So a lot of the things that we've talked about are happening, and they're happening fast. And this space is moving so fast that you really don't have time to say, yeah, I'll kind of get to that next week. Ray and you and I had a conversation about this yesterday where we said, gosh, we really feel like since things are happening so quickly, we need to move quickly. And we were both in agreement on that. So you have to get moving on this stuff.
Yeah, and we were just talking to someone yesterday that mentioned a law firm that, I'm sure everyone's seen the attorney that used ChatGPT for his court hearing, and for his brief, and the information he pulled were not even real cases. And they went out to their, because there's pulling the information from AI, but there's also submitting information to the AI universe. And I think a lot of the companies now are saying, hold on, let's pause a little bit to see what's going on. Don't touch, as far as company work.
Yeah, no, that's the other part that's really important, is that, if you're doing work and you are using, Chat GPT or some other machine learning, tool, it's really important, that you check and you verify the information, because not everything you get back is going to be 100% accurate or true. So, there's a real, especially if you're doing, kind of deep research on a topic, just, you got to make sure that whatever you're quoting is or it's real, that comes from the appropriate references, because you can get in a lot of trouble very quickly, if you don't, like the example with the attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no opinion on unionization, whether it's good or bad. I don't have an opinion, but there are companies that think it's great. There are companies that don't want it. My belief is that if you want to stay away from, having your companies somewhat or become a unionized environment, if that's not something you're a fan of, I would say that you would start putting some of these processes and guidelines in place to safeguard jobs and protections for employees now, as opposed to doing a whole bunch of things that employees feel like have a deleterious effect on their employment situation, and then this is thrust upon you, and then you have a bunch of things that you have to react to. So my recommendation would be, we said move fast, but start being careful and planful and putting these things in place so that you don't have something thrown at you and you have to take on.
Yep, exactly. I think one of the things that can really happen to an organization that is, has a lot of employees doing similar work, as you start to move some of that work to machine learning or an AI model, it's going to be critical that you do the appropriate change management work with your teams, and let them know, kind of, here's what's happening, here's why it's happening, and then what are we going to do from an organizational perspective for those employees that are being impacted. Because if you don't do a really good job of that, and hopefully you're not going to just be laying people off, you're going to try to repurpose those individuals into other roles, in the organization. And because if you don't do that, then you will quickly have a bit of an uprising where you will have
a robot uprising, you say?
I would say, let's say a worker uprising would be more appropriate, because of the robot uprising. But but I think it's really important that you think about the impact that something like this will have in the organization. So so doing it, just, hey, we just did a cost savings and wiped out 20 jobs, that all moved to AI. Guess what? That's not going to be viewed very positively, by employees. It may be viewed positively by your leadership team, because their bonuses are going to be, impacted, significantly at the end of the year with the cost savings. But your employee population is going to have a problem, and you've got to kind of get ahead of it.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Both of you were on the call that I was on with the company that we're talking to about their AI product.
Hmm.
And and we'll talk more about that subsequent calls and in LinkedIn Lives. But it was interesting because the CEO who we talked to yesterday mentioned that one of the people that's in charge of implementation of this AI product, he has a PhD in organizational change. And that one of the most important things around the AI wasn't so much the um, science and the computer and the technology of it. It was the change management and the adoption of it by the workers and by the company. So I thought that was really fascinating that one of their key implementation people, it was all based around change.
Yeah, and I think that Ray really hit on it because I think anything that we approach as a consulting firm and as we work with our clients, one of the key factors is proper communication. I mean, would you agree that that's the core of ensuring that you're staying ahead and you're doing things appropriately to safeguard your employees and your company from not being prepared or surprises?
Yep, exactly. That's a key. And then also, I think that in some of the discussions we've been having with these companies that are doing AI, uh, the interesting part is, they're coming back and saying, we can do that. The tool can do that, but can't is the organization prepared for that? For that change, like Heather said. But
Hmm.
then the other thing that's really interesting too is that you know I think a lot of organizations that are in this right now are trying to be first to market because
Hmm.
you know the other challenge is, like everything, there's so many people working on this that um, you know you want to be first to market, but you also want to be careful not to show your hand too quickly to your competitors, because they can quickly copy and introduce the exact same thing under a different name. Um, so there's a lot of uh, you know, a lot of investment in this space, but at the same time, a lot of folks are being somewhat cautious because of how quickly something can be copied and reintroduced.
Yeah, and I would say with all of that, I think the the probability of a company seeing unionization over all of this, I think it's pretty high. I mean,
Yep.
I would say it's pretty high. If I was in a company, or if I was part of a particular job set that I felt like was pretty susceptible to getting outsourced by I think it'd be all over saying, "Hey, man, we need to work on some job protections for people." I think that that would definitely be something that we're going to see more of.
Hmm.
I don't see how people are going to just sit back quietly and say, hey, let the robots take over. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see some things start to, come forward from people who want to see, a society that's able to, you know, move forward and people being able to take care of themselves and not lose jobs and all those things. I think there's going to be some interesting social questions that we're going to have to answer, like we're answering right now with the ethics of AI and some of these
Hmm.
other things.
It's
Yeah,
interesting too as we approach high school and college graduation. I can't help but to think about how universities and colleges are making changes in preparation for the future of AI. I mean, as it stands now, and you've got someone that's going to spend 4 years in college, and someone that wants to be in technology, how they're preparing the workforce to level up and not be a person where a job is eliminated, but being a person that's supplemental or complementary to what our future is.
So does this mean that like plagiarism is just like out the door? I mean, like literally, like when I was in high school and college, like plagiarism, and I was like that was like a big
Hmm.
deal, and people jumped up and down about it, and now with all the source material out there, with AI and the internet and everything, aren't we just don't we just give up on that? Aren't we like, okay, everything's out there. It's exposed to everybody. Let's just give up. If you're going to leverage something, you're going to leverage it right. Isn't that kind of where we're at?
Yeah, I think we are there. I think the key though is being honest about where you get the
Hmm.
data, right? And that honesty and giving people credit for for the work that's been done by them, not that and not claim it as original work like from from by yourself. But yeah, there's a big challenge right now, like around this whole plagiarism and ethics and and what's the right approach, because that's critical.
I mean, I used to have a teacher and a professor that would say, well, as long as you're learning, that's the main thing. So I guess the main thing is, okay, if you're going in and you're using the AI and you're reading at least what the AI is spitting out, I guess you're learning. So at the end of the day, hopefully something is sticking in your brain and you've got some more information that you did. So maybe that's where we need to get now. Hopefully
Yeah.
you're not going into the AI, giving it a prompt, just doing a cut and paste and not even reading, which I guess could
What's in
happen, but
there?
hopefully
Yeah,
you're not doing that.
yeah, yeah.
I would be
Hopefully,
devil's advocate on that, Jason. Say, are you really learning, or are you only learning how to copy and paste?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the
Are
challenge.
you
Is
really absorbing the material and absorbing the information? Or are you just learning that, hey, I'm going to take the lazy way out instead of doing the work on my own?
Oh yeah, it is lazy.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yes, it
is.
is
Yeah,
lazy.
it truly is. And I think in this space, I think our recommendation would be, if you're in an organization that where AI can be leveraged, that you start thinking about, how you're going to control it and manage it,
Mhm.
and talk to somebody who's got more expertise in this space to get just to network and get some recommendations on how to how to implement programs and some guardrails around this, because it's going to be really important. And I think the other part of it, that like we talked earlier, is communicate with your not only your leaders but also your employees, to avoid
Mhm.
the challenge of a bit of an employee revolt if you start to eliminate jobs.
I want to see a robot revolt. I want to see an employee revolt. I want to see robot revolt. That makes a better movie.
Yeah, it does make a better movie, I would agree.
I always can't help but think of that movie I, Robot with Will Smith. That just keeps coming to mind as we continue to talk about AI. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but
Yes, that's a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about it is a lot of the tools that we're talking about, even the ones that we're talking about, have things like you know uh, empathy and
Mhm.
empathetic questions, and so a lot of the things that we think robots cannot do, they're starting to do, with the tools that are out there and the tools that we're looking at
You're
and
frightening
reviewing.
me. You're frightening me.
Yeah, when the designer of the tool says, "Oh yeah, we're going to be asking empathetic questions, open-ended questions," and it's like, well, shoot, that sounds like what I get paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. You did
Oh
say that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess
You remember that? Because
psychologists.
I remember that too. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Well,
interesting.
yeah.
Hmm.
All
No,
right.
very
Well, we know people have AI work that they need to start using, or chat GPT
yeah,
work they need to
yeah,
start cutting and pasting. So
yeah,
we don't want to keep people, but
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
this is a good topic. There's going to be more of them
Hmm.
coming, and well, AI is the hot topic right now. I don't see it going away
Yeah.
anytime soon.
So true, and please, let us know. We'd love to help you. Make sure you're starting to think about, putting in goals and objectives around this for your organization, as well as, you know, think about your communication and change management plans around it, because that's really how you're going to get this to work well in your organization. And if you don't do it,
Yeah.
the robot revolt will happen.
Exactly. Very good. Very nicely. Yeah, we've been pretty, I think, ahead of the curve on everything that we've been talking about, and the customers and the clients that we've been talking to, we've been right on the money where this thing is going. So if you would like to work with us as you think about implementing AI or implementing a specific tool, we'd love to help you, because I think we're leading in this space and we're here for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, have a great rest of the day. Give
Yep.
us a shout if you need some help with your AI, so you can
Yeah,
Sounds
exactly.
awesome.
revolt.
That's right.
No robot revolts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please
Thanks.
track us down.
Yeah.
And we'd love to help in any way we can.
All right. Till next week on Wednesday. We'll see you then.
All right. Thanks,
Take
Heather. Thanks,
care.
Ray. Bye.
Bye bye.